The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters Plotcast Podcast.
We always do a sensible... I'm cutting in there.
Yeah.
We do a sensible introduction, don't we, when you start?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll keep it sensible.
Thank you. So this is episode 44, Elaine.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm Julia.
And I'm Elaine.
Yes, you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and come on then. How do people get in
okay then.
contact?
So, Facebook, Instagram and X, that was Twitter, that's not now, at Potty Plotters.
I thought that was just a kiss.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
But there you go.
There you go. TikTok at The Potty Plotters. Email us, naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk, or check out our website, as people do, pottyplotters.uk. That was okay.
Yeah, well done.
That was okay, not UK.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Have you been on the gin already? I know you've been making it for Christmas for everybody, but what's got into you?
It's just
anyway, we're still down the plots, bitting here and there, really. The weather's not been great this last week, has it?
No, and I think the winter's set in, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just have to get used to it, but there's still loads to do.
Yeah.
Folks will be sitting at home with nothing to do, or thinking they've got nothing to do, and listening to this.
Thinking, what are they doing out in that wet weather? But unfortunately, as usual, we've had another winter project, as we called it. Having said, for the last 4 years, we're never doing a project over winter. We are now still doing a project over the wet months, cold months again. But, you know, we're hardy. We're not moaning, are we, Elaine?
No, we're just getting on with it. And I think that's really important for people to be able to get out at this time of year, because the days are a lot shorter. And so you can still pack loads in. Let's get it done.
Yeah, we go home like the swamp monster and we go home and we're freezing and we don't want to cook or anything. But, you know, we've been down the allotment. We've done our bit, haven't we?
We have and they have. And I think the important thing is to remember that not everybody is able to do what we do during the week. They can only come up at weekends.
Yes. So, again, seize the moment. But one thing I do want to talk to you about this week, Elaine, is my asparagus.
It's always about you, isn't it?
Well, what do you want to talk about then?
Well, I want to talk about beetroot, but I haven't got a lot left on my plot.
We spoke about beetroot last week.
We can talk about beetroot every day, never mind every week. Gareth is still shaking his head. We've not really moved on much, have we? So, yes, let's talk about your asparagus. And can I say, it looks like a forest.
Yes.
It looks beautiful. And at this time of the year, it's actually going like autumnal colours.
Yeah. I mean, my asparagus bed is one of my favourite beds, second only to the one that I sleep in, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. If people don't grow asparagus, it really is a commitment vegetable. That's what I say, because it's in the ground for about 20 to 25 years. And you do have to have a lot of patience when you first put it in, because the first couple of years you're really not harvesting very much at all.
Oh, right, okay.
So, you know, you've got to like asparagus, but I think it is worthwhile.
Well, I didn't realise that you just leave it to do its own thing.
Yeah.
And you have?
Yeah, you have to do that. So you have a very short cropping period. So we're looking at probably beginning to middle of April, right the way through to middle of June. And then you leave it to basically grow to the thromes on the top, and it's kind of all feathery. And that's when our friend Tina, Tina the florist, turns up and goes, oh, that's lovely. That'd look lovely in an arrangement.
Well, it's asparagus fern.
Yes, yeah. And I have to slap her hands and say, get off me asparagus, because there's a reason for doing that, Elaine.
And what is the reason?
The reason for doing that is you have to allow them to grow, and you support them as they're growing into these forests. Yeah. You need to stop them from snapping, make sure that there's some kind of cane or support around them so they don't snap. And the reason that you do that is so that all the energy goes back into those crowns, so that next year we have an even bigger crop.
Wow. You see, it's one of those things that, Julia, if you didn't know that, you'd have cut them down
Yeah.
so that you make the bed neat and tidy.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it doesn't look neat and tidy.
No.
But it looks like it's all just overgrown.
Yeah, and at the moment, as you mentioned, it is now turning kind of a golden yellow colour, which is beautiful. I mean, we sat on the plot the other day looking at the blueberry bushes, which look fantastic in autumn because they go a lovely red colour, don't they? But we were also sat there looking at the asparagus, and that had gone a lovely golden colour. Now, as that turns from golden colour to a brown colour and it starts to die back, that is the point you cut your asparagus down.
Right. So we've got a little way to go yet.
Not much further. I mean, that's why I've mentioned it, because if someone's listening to this other parts in the country, they may actually be at that point where the asparagus has turned brown and basically died off. And what you do at that point is you chop the asparagus fern all the way down to the ground level, and then you cover it with something like compost or well-rotted manure, and that will then protect the crowns but also put more energy into the plant.
So you have to leave the whole thing to die back naturally, not hack at it. You wait for it to die back and then you start and cut it back.
That's right, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and then obviously the top bit goes in the composter again.
You and your compost.
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Jane, I don't know if you've seen, but my greenhouse is smoking.
That's against the law. How old is it? Is it older than whatever it should be? Why isn't it vaping? Or can't you do that either? What are you supposed to do?
Well, first of all, I'm concerned that you're not concerned that my greenhouse seems to be on fire, but why have we got smoke coming out of my greenhouse?
Because you bombed it, haven't you?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you do it every year though, don't you?
Yes, I do, because in the greenhouse I grow the aubergines and also the cucumbers, but of course you know the aubergines are more susceptible to the red spider mite, and also it can be quite difficult because I've got like a wooden frame to my greenhouse, and so although I do like to clean it and I get in there with the scrubbing brush and the squelchy thing, whatever that's called.
Squeezy mop thing. Yeah, squelchy.
Sometimes you can't get in all the nooks and crannies, and also there's all kinds of pots and things in there that, although I drag most of it out, you can't drag everything out. So what I do at the end of the season, I get a smoke bomb. Now, traditionally people have used sulphur candles, but they can be quite toxic, I think.
Can they kill creatures then?
They can kill creatures.
We don't want to kill frogs and toads because I know that they live in mine.
Yeah. And also, I don't want to be, if I've got any plants in there, using a garlic candle while smelling very horrible or very garlicky, that just kills off any of the pests that I don't want.
So it's going for the garlic one?
Yes.
Right,
so that's
we'll do
why
that.
my greenhouse smells of garlic, and it's
I don't
also
mind
smoking.
that, tell you the truth.
No.
It just makes me hungry. We've said that before, haven't I?
You're always hungry.
So, easy to buy?
Yes, yeah. I mean, most garden centres sell them. But if you can't get them, have a look online. And I think an 8x6 greenhouse, I think you probably need one candle. So it's quite easy to do. And all you literally, they come in like a tin can. You just pop the top off and then light the little fuse. Make sure all the windows and doors are shut on your greenhouse, and just leave it on a brick or something off the ground. Raise it off the ground and just leave it to burn out, which will take a couple of hours, and then that's job done. So it's nice and easy. Even you could do it, Elaine.
It's on my list.
So what have you been up to this week, Elaine?
I've been sorting out my rambling rector.
Have you indeed?
Indeed, yes. It always sounds like it's something it's not. It's a rambling rose.
Oh, yeah.
And it's right at the top of my plot, and it had got quite woody, and you will like it when you look at it, because I've been cutting out all the dead wood. But I have decided I think it's time for it to go, because it's been there a long time and I'm rehashing my plot.
Are you indeed? What are you doing with it?
I'm going to put more flowers in. I'm going to dig up all the dahlias, and I'm going to move fruit into where the dahlias are, and I'm going to move dahlias into where the fruit is, and that's quite a lot. It's about 125 square metres, so we are talking a lot of ground.
Right.
But I've also decided that I'm going to dig it all over and put new paths in as well.
God, you're going to be busy, aren't you, over
I
winter?
am, yeah. Yeah,
So
but
what
I've decided I'm doing it.
What are you doing with that rambling rector then? Are
I'm
you
going to dig it out.
Are you relocating it?
No, dig it out and then I'll buy a new one and I'm going to put it in a different place so that it doesn't take over. Because at the moment it blocks where the light is, and as you know, it grows to about 7 foot against a fence that I put up there, and it really does block the light. Now the dahlias therefore start to lean to one side, and I think that that's not good for them. It's blocking the sun, and they need the sun.
And it was also actually blocking your access to your water butts, wasn't it? So it was hard to get to them. So actually, it's not a bad time to be buying a new rambling rector, because now is the time that you buy bare-rooted trees, but you can also buy bare-rooted roses, and you can get them really good price and get a really good range of them. So
I just thought it's time for a change. So I did start at it. And again, back down into your T-shirt. It was so lovely yesterday. This weather is so unpredictable. It's quite unnerving, I would say, actually. But, at least I had a good day at it, and the rambling rector will be gone in a mo. That's what I've been up to. What about you?
Well, I'm still taking down all the dahlias bit by bit, because I've got quite a few of them, and also starting to clear out the polytunnel and start thinking about putting things in there for the new season, early new season.
Crikey me. It doesn't seem 5 minutes since we started, does it?
No. Doesn't take long for the seasons to come round, does it?
No. Soon be Christmas.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
What you got there in front of you, Lane?
Well, what I've done is, now, it was my birthday a little while ago, Julia, but that is the noise of terracotta pot.
Oh, you do like a terracotta pot,
I do,
don't
yeah.
you?
And although it's got a few bits taken out of it, I don't mind. So it is big. How big's that, Gareth?
12 inches.
Oh, now then. So it's about 8 inches, and I'm naughty, aren't I?
No.
So yeah, about 8 inches. Thanks. We'll never ask him that again. And it's probably about 8 inches across. It's actually more than 8 inches across. So yes, it is a big terracotta pot. And what I've done is this morning I've just filled it up 3/4 with multi-purpose compost. And these, Julia, you bought me.
Oh, yes. I remember
And
that.
these are tulips, and they're called Green Wave, and they are like a pink with a green going through it.
Yeah, I thought they were quite different, and also it said they're a good cut flower. So, and I know you like your cut flowers.
I do, but I don't think I'll ever cut these. But the main thing that I'm going to do, there's 7 bulbs here, and all I'm going to do is I'll rip the bag open, because I haven't got any strength.
you've
thrown them on the floor. Let's get up and pick them all up again. Oh, I'll tell you what, this doesn't happen on the BBC podcast, does it? It's always on hours. Anyway, so I've got them, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit them. Now then, Julia, it sounds daft, but they are, it's the pointy bit that points up.
Yes.
And the flat bit that sits.
And they have a hairy bottom, don't they?
They do. They do.
So put your hairy bottom in the soil, is what you're saying. It's the right time of year, isn't it, for doing tulips?
It is, yeah, because they are later than daffodils. Look at that. That didn't take a millisecond, did it?
No.
I've done them. But the important thing with tulips is to keep them the right way up. And I'm going to cover them, and I'm going to cover them twice the depth of the bulb.
Yes.
So if your bulb is an inch high, put 2 inches of compost on the top. Now then, I'm just going to tell you something. I've done this, and last year I spent a lot of money on new bulbs, and I love them. However, I turned my back, I put draped nets over the top, and I left loads and loads of pots like this on my plot. And then, after a week or so, I looked underneath the draped net and found that a chuffing squirrel had been in and ripped them all out.
Yes.
The whole lot.
I remember how distraught you were because you came through the back passage and there was
It's
almost...
a place, that is, by the way.
There was almost tears in your eye because you had spent a long time doing it all colour coordinated, hadn't you? Because you'd had different tulips bought for you and you'd been out and bought different ones. And so you had squirrel problems. So what are you going to do to combat that this year?
I'm going back to my tights and I shall put my gusset over the top and hope that a squirrel never touches it.
Well, it will, but it'll just trampoline off. They'll just be we'll just see them bouncing along your plot.
They certainly will, and it just adds that direct protection.
Yeah.
They might actually be able to make a hole in me gusset and get in there. But I tell you what, I will be dead mad if they do that. But I'm hoping that will stop them. Now, you've also done some experiments with coffee grinds.
Yes, I have. Because again, my mum had the same problem as you with the squirrel in her garden. And he was very persistent and kept hoofing her bulbs out. So we tried the method of the tights across the top of the plant pots. And that actually stopped them. It stopped them getting in, and then once the tulips had begun to emerge and the shoots had started to come through, I thought, well, that's pretty safe. You've got a nice root system, a quite healthy plant there. But then they carried on coming. So what I did, I'd read up somewhere about using coffee grinds, and we did a little bit of an experiment, the used coffee grinds. You know that the coffee shops now, they give them away, don't they? You can even scoop your own out. And we did half of her plant pots with the coffee grinds over the top and the other half without. Now, the squirrel never touched any of the ones with the coffee grinds on, but carried on with the ones with the coffee grinds. So that's kind of a backup for you, really. We can go and get our coffee grinds.
Well, we'll try that, but I might just keep them safe in the greenhouse for a little while. So they get established, and then I've got to put them outside. That's the thing.
Got enough room in your greenhouse, or do we need to get you a new one?
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
Julia, before you start with this, what are they first?
Parsnips.
Right, parsnips. And I've noticed you've got a fork.
Yes.
A really important tool where your parsnips are concerned.
Yes, even on the no dig, when I've had parsnips in, I've got the fork alongside it and just given it a wiggle, because if you pull the parsnips from the top like this now, you'll just end up with all the leaves in your hand and the root of the parsnip will stay in the ground.
And we want the whole parsnip, not just the top.
Yeah, I must admit I'm a bit worried because this area did sit underwater and you can see that some of them are a little bit distressed because they're putting flowers on. So that's not good. And also you have to be careful. I should really have my gloves on for this. You should have your gloves on because I think they can be quite an irritant, the leaves of the parsnips. Why are you smiling? No, you get on that Google thing and have a look. Anyway, this is kind of no pressure or anything as to whether they come out straight or anything, but there you go. Oh God, it's really wet here, Elaine.
I can see.
Really, really. Ooh, I say. Oh, now then.
One. Oh, isn't that just a classic from out of the book?
Oh, well, that's
and the sun shining on
that's
you
not
too.
bad, is it?
No.
That's using our method as well.
That's lovely. And what type is it? Little gem.
It's a parsnip. No, I think it was sweet and tender, wasn't it?
Yeah,
tender and true. Tender and true.
That's the one.
Sweet and, Anyway, what are you going to make me with it?
Parsnip crisp. Good and healthy. Oh, it is a bit wet.
God, it is absolutely saturated here. Oh, now. Ugh. I've never known it like this here. Goodness me. Let's have another one. Ugh. So I say. Oh, we've got a double.
Got a doubler. Oh, look at that for a pair of legs.
Elaine, you've got a hint and tip, haven't you?
I have for this week, and that is simply about if you're going to be pruning things. Now, we get a little bit prune happy, so to speak, at this time of year, and I'm going to be doing my fruit bushes soon. But when I looked at them, I saw that they were still full of leaf. Leave prunings like that, whilst you have got the leaves on the twigs because it's much easier to handle and get rid of when you haven't got all the leaves. Leave the leaves to drop, and it's the same with your fruit trees as well. If you're getting rid of any fruit trees and you're thinking of hacking them down, I've noticed that somebody on site's doing that actually.
Right.
And they're moving their fruit tree, they're taking it out and they're replacing them, they said, with new ones. Because they've got too big and it's got canker. What is canker? I thought you got that from pennies. My mum used to say, you get them from, I don't know, but that's what she used to say. Anyway, don't touch pennies because you get canker from it.
Canker's a disease that affects fruit trees.
Apple trees in particular.
And pears. And it kind of leaves like quite an indentation, and it's almost... Now, you can cut canker out, and you can cut branches that have been affected by canker. And some of the trees on site have got quite bad canker and they still produce, so they've decided that it's going, but my advice would be don't cut it down whilst they're in leaf, because their branches weigh so much more when the leaves are still on. Leave it until they've gone. Much easier to handle. That's good advice. And scoop up the leaves and either make yourself some leaf mould or pop it into the composter.
Why not?
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and next time we'll be chatting to a chap about herbs. That's Andy Perry, isn't it, Elaine?
Andy Perry, he's a bit of a king on all of this, isn't he? And it's that time of year where people are wondering what to do, but Christmas is a busy time when you use herbs quite a lot. You always watch these telly programmes and they've always got oregano, they've got sage, there's always a bit of stuffing to be had.
I saw some of his social media things, and some of the herbs that he was mentioning I've never even heard of, Elaine, so we're in for an education.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be a long podcast. Get ready, everybody.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.